Hello, everybody. Dr. F Scott Feil here, and I wanted to give you a quick update on our main sponsor, Ice Shaker. If you're looking for a water bottle, a coffee cup, a protein shaker bottle, I have great news. Your search has ended. Ice Shaker has shaker bottles, tumblers, sports bottles, and the newest addition, and my personal favorite, the gallon and half-gallon jugs. These bad boys are both massive and sturdy and keep drinks cold for hours on end. This has been my answer to making sure I drink enough water throughout my day. I've still kind of come around to the protein game and I'm new at it still, but when my doctor advised me to increase my protein intake, I turned to powdered shakes. Every other shaker bottle on the market had its issues, but Ice Shaker is the only one I tried that was vacuum sealed, had no issues with clumps or smell, and it really kept my drinks the right temperature. I love this product and I love the company and the guys behind it as they are doing amazing things and simply winning. Not only in the world of shaker bottles and sports bottles and tumblers, but in the game of life. Their partnerships and charitable donations have not gone unnoticed by the Professors of Profit Pops crew. So if you want the best beverage consumption and protein shaker solution on the market, check out the link in our show notes to grab yours today. You can even customize them with laser engraving, just like I've got here for our pteducator.com, right? And, I promise you won't be disappointed with these stainless steel products. They're all colors, all sizes. You've got to check them out. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I've got with me super special guest, somebody who I'm excited to have on. I've been following forever here, Steve Sims, literally from bouncer and bricklayer to the real life Wizard of Oz, which is such a cool moniker to have, right? Not too many people can claim that. He's worked with people in the likes of Sir Elton John, Sir Richard Branson, Tim Ferriss, Elon Musk, Steven Tyler, President's Royalty. The list goes on and on. Steve, thanks so much for coming on, man. Thanks for having us, to chat here today. But yeah, it's a wild story you've got, and I just can't believe all the stuff you've accomplished, man.
No, nor can I. No, that's truthful. I'll often it's like a dog chasing a car. When it catches the car, what the hell does it do with it? I'm that kind of dog. I go after stuff and then I get it and I'm like, whoa, and then all of a sudden something else comes in my field of view and I'm like, whoa, I'm going for that now. So every now and then, like moments like this, and I actually just did a speaking gig in Venice, Italy, and they flew me over and they put me up and all this kind of thing, and they did this big intro on me, and I'm sat by the side and I'm looking out of the window, looking out of the curtain to all of these people waiting for me to come on. They had no idea I was coming up. I was the surprise ending keynote speaker, and they laid into this introduction. I thought, shit, is that me? Oh my God. And it sometimes we don't stop. I do believe there's always a time to kind of like park yourself and smell the roses, but the accolades, you can't take them with you. The medals, the accolades, the bank account, you can't take it away. But I don't discard the excitement I've had through the years and hopefully the impact it's had on others. And by now trying to coach people that, hey, anybody can do it. So it still takes my breath away.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that message. I see that a lot in your writing, your content, your coaching stuff, that anybody can do it, right? Because that's important to me too, right? I was an English major that turned into a physical therapist that now is a full-time teacher, right? And I have ADHD, right? I didn't even know that until a year or two ago. And I am easily the dumbest smart guy you'll ever meet, right? And so if I can get through 2 doctoral degrees and start a business, anybody can do it. Trust me, But I think it takes a little bit of oomph, right? A little courage, a little bit of like, hey, if you're going to do it, you got to try. You got to get out there and do it. And that's why, like I said, I got into you first through your first book, Blue Fishing, right? The Art of Making Stuff Happen, right? And you have a podcast by that name as well, right? The Art of Making Things Happen. And really, it's amazing to see you basically started a concierge firm, right? A life experiences type firm, right? Which is something that I think healthcare needs to dive into more as well. We need to start crafting the Disney experience of healthcare, So tell us a little bit about that experience of just, a concierge firm and what that looks like.
I'm probably the worst person to ask that, even though I had the largest, most successful one. I never I never wanted to have one, and I never wanted to start one. And I've often argued, even though I don't own it anymore and I sold it, that I didn't start one. What I wanted, and you said that to get what you want takes courage and oomph. I'm kind of going to argue with you a little bit there. To get where you want takes aggravation. You see, if you desire something, you'll look at it and go, oh, I can't do that. But if something terrifies you, like if there's a snake behind you, you're moving, you know? And so with me, I looked to where I was and I'm like, shit, I don't like this. I've got to get away. So I was running away from a life that I didn't want. And I was running to, don't know. But I knew that I had to surround myself with smart people. So even though I ended up being the doorman of a nightclub, I would try to pick people out of the parties that had money, had the attention, had that kind of je ne sais quoi about them, just something about them that could hold their own. And I wanted to have a conversation with you. So if I found out, oh, you couldn't get into the party tomorrow night, well, let me solve that. Oh, you can't get into that restaurant? Let me solve. Oh, you can't get into that premiere? Let me make that happen, and then we'll have dinner. So I've always said that I ran a Trojan horse company. I would excite you in by getting you to play with drums and roses, or getting you on the stage with Journey, or getting you backstage, on stage, front row. I would get your dream fulfilled. But not only was I getting a paycheck, I was getting your attention. And that's what I was going for. And so I would literally sit down with some of the most powerful people in the planet, people that own things like countries, and go, hey, how do you hire people? How do you retain your brand? How do you monetize, opportunities? How do you live your life? What are you thankful for in the morning? What gets you up in the morning? And I've often said that if podcasts had existed in the 90s, I'd have just started a podcast. Yeah. But this was my way of getting in front of people. And I never had a website, never called it concierge. And then people started going, oh, you're a concierge to the wealthy people. And I'd be like, look, if you think so, fine. And I really was so discerning and down on it that I wasn't trying to make it anything that people were like, wow, there's something here. But of course, I was only ever doing it to have those conversations.
Yeah, 1,000%. That is a great takeaway. And, really, if we kind of look at the new book now, right? Go for Stupid, The Art of Achieving Ridiculous Goals, or as I like to call them, BHADs, right? Big, hairy, audacious goals, right? I coach that to all my students, my clients. I tell them, look, you've got to have something. You've got to have something you want to go for, right? And it's really just like you said, like it's in the book, it's not being afraid, right? And not being afraid of what people think, what they say. You just got to go for it, right? So tell us a little bit about the new book. Where did it come from? Where did it start? What was the idea? What's the big takeaway for you with those goals, those big, hairy, audacious goals?
So I got offered, we're going to go back a chapter. Mm-hmm. I got offered a very beautiful deal to write my first book, Blue Fishing. And I thought to myself, no one's going to buy it because it's so simple, so ridiculously downright abusive, that these are the simple, impactful things that your smart ass has decided to avoid. People will spend 10 grand on a problem to buy away their pain rather than just doing the basics that they need to. And so that was Blue Fishing. And whoa, was I wrong. It became bestseller in multiple countries, translated, I think, like 8 or 9 languages. It's still doing incredibly well. And I was like, right, okay, good. I've got a best-selling book. It's done well for me. I'm speaking, coaching, training all over the world. I'm done. I'm going to keep this momentum. And then this thing called COVID came across us all. And when it first started, truthfully, I was like, great. It had just put a pause on everyone. I was actually now able to stand still and look around at where I was. It's like a ship, just being able to stop in the middle of the ocean and go, hang on a minute, am I going the right direction? No? Well, hang on a minute, let me just tweak and go again. So I was really appreciating COVID. And then I started seeing people on Facebook and social and all this kind of go, oh, I finished watching The Sopranos. What else can I binge watch? How else can I waste my life? And this pissed me off. And I thought, hang on a minute, the planet has been given a timeout. to reflect, to connect. Now, let's pick on that. The amount of people that are saying, oh, I can't connect anymore. I can't go out with my buddies. You know, it was the best time on the planet to connect. We could literally guarantee that whoever we wanted to connect with was at home, desperate for that connection. And so I used FaceTime. I used this weird thing. It's new technology. I'm not quite sure your people are ready for it, called the phone. And just randomly, I would just like play hotspot. Boom, Billy. They'd be like, Steve, we haven't spoken for 7 years. I know. Well, better time to call you than 7 years ago or now, you know? And I was just doing it. And I was loving the conversations. And it was really doing well for my business. And then I suddenly thought to myself, why are people just looking at this as a negative? Now, I apologize for people that were in pain. I'm not going to be that cold-hearted. But me, personally, I'd love to see the internet turned off like, once every 5 years for a month. Wouldn't that really be good? Get us to look inside our families, our bank accounts, our relationships, get people to use the phones. We become lazy as a generation. So I started putting out these memes and things like that. And I'm not known as the most subtle person in the planet. So I'm putting out my kind of aggravation on how lazy and excuse-ridden people were. And then people were like, you should write a blog on that. So I'd write a blog. And then people were like, that should be in a book. And I thought to myself, it's not going to go in a book because the problem is today, we're arseholes today. And I thought to myself, or are we? Mm-hmm. So I started doing some research because, hey, we had time. And I suddenly realized that human beings, we're not nice. We lift people up onto a pedestal and then we throw stones at them. And in some generations, some periods of history, we've done exactly that. And I thought to myself, is the problem us as a species, or is it a problem with us now in this period of technology? No, we're the same pricks we are now that we were back in history. It's just that now we can distribute those lies, those hate much faster. Someone can fall over a curb in Korea and someone can be watching it on TikTok in Illinois 3 nanoseconds after it being uploaded. So we've now just got faster ways to spread crap, hate, misguidance, lies. And so I just thought to myself, is this really who we are? And then something weird happened. We talked about, having these amazing goals and going for stupid. If you look at all of the people today that we revere, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Larry Page, Jeff Bezos, all of these people did incredible things, got an immense amount of hatred along the way. And in the case of Elon Musk, still gets hatred on a daily basis. But you think he can hear you? He is the most, you said about being the dumbest smart person, all right? This is the most unqualified achiever in history. He has disrupted auto, solar panels, internet, space, banking, had no information on it before outside of a dream and a stupid BHAG goal. So I think today, the people we revere are those people that dare to stick their head up above the crowd. But we're also a community and a nation that goes, whoa, I don't want to step out. I could get cancelled. And me, I'm personally there going, fuck it, you want to cancel me? Cancel me, okay? But I'm going to be me, and I'm not going to apologize for being that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a good takeaway there. That's such a good point. And, if we really look at these goals, right? If somebody has a vision or an idea, right? A seemingly ridiculous goal, what are some of the steps they need to take in order to really achieve these seemingly impossible or absurd goals?
Well, let me let you off the hook for a start. You're more than likely going to fail. Okay? That's letting you off the hook. You see, people put A to B. If I don't get to B, I failed. Most people, when they set a goal, they set it a millimeter or an inch away of what they can achieve. If I can run this distance, well, if I do this, I can run this distance. If I lose this amount of weight, and if I do this, I can lose that. if you start with a stupid goal, and I'm on about a goal where people laugh at, I'm going to set up this business and I'm going to franchise it out and then I'm going to buy an island, really have a stupid goal, then when you fail, you are 500 times beyond what you would have achieved had you gone for something that was realistic and sensible. Now, here's the dumb thing. I've been doing this for years. And I failed so many times in my stupid goal that I got a ridiculous one. And people were like, how did you get that? And I would say, well, I got it because I didn't go for it. I went for something bigger. And they'd be like, there's something bigger. And then something weird happened. I started achieving my stupid goals. And I'd be getting them and I'd literally come out of achieving it. You know, I had a client that wanted a dining party, a dining experience in Florence, Italy. So I thought, well, I could get him a really cool table, get the chef to come out, say hi, get a photograph. That'd make him feel good. But I thought, screw it. How far can I take it? I ended up closing down the Accademia di Galleria in Florence, which is the world famous museum that houses Michelangelo's David. 9 o'clock at night, table of 6 set up at the feet of David. And then for shits and giggles, I had Andrea Bocelli come in and serenade him while he's eating his pasta. I never expected any of that to happen. Never expect. And when I got it, and on the night, I was almost paralyzed. I was in the corner going, I can't believe I got this. I've got the entire museum to myself. There's the maestro himself. I pulled this off. And so it's you know, they say, you know, be careful what you wish for. Most people are therefore scared to actually wish for anything. Me, if my goal's not stupid and to be laughed at and ridiculed, it's not the goal I need to go for.
Yeah, I love that. It's, you know, like that the cliche phrase, you know, shoot for the moon because even if you fail, you fall amongst the stars, right? And
we know it. And,
yeah.
There's a prime example there, man. We know this. It's been repeated in so many different sayings, metaphors, cliches, clicks, yet we still don't do it. Yeah. We want to settle in. We want to kind of stand out. And the way we first stand out is by fitting in. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think I'm pretty close to the poster child for what you're saying, because I've failed so many times. My board exam, my dissertation, right? All of these things. And yet here I am, still 2 doctoral degrees, my own business, right? Teaching full-time, like doing things that I never thought even imaginable. And I just said, screw it, let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen? I failed a ton, right? It doesn't faze me any at this point, you know? It's all just learning experiences for me. So, you know, it's been fun, you know? But I think one of the things that you kind of touched on a little bit there has really been like the reason that we kind of don't get started in that settling. It's like a little bit of that fear and that imposter syndrome that like comes in. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I don't know that imposter syndrome should really be a thing. I mean, even if you don't know some stuff, you learn, you figure it out, you try, right? At least try, because then at least if you fail, you learned how not to do it. Now let's try a different approach, right? And that's just been kind of something that I've had to deal with for the years. But what do you say to people that do have that like fear of getting started, or that imposter syndrome, as they like to call it?
So there's 2 questions there, and I'm never going to quote I'm never going to quote a quote and claim it as my own. There's a very smart man called Alex Shafran, a friend of mine.
Yes,
he always said that imposters don't have imposter syndrome. Okay, now I always liked that. So you having that little bit of imposter syndrome is just nerves and anticipation. Okay, combined. Yeah. All right, and when you step into the room and suddenly find out that everyone else is just as nervous. Everyone else has failed just as much or more. Everyone else is eager and aggravated to do something about it. When you suddenly start realizing that, you go, you know, and that's a good thing. When people are scared of moving forward, I ask them to reframe it. Don't be scared of moving forward. Be terrified of standing still. A friend of mine once said to me, Joe Polish, the definition of hell is to meet the man or woman you could have been. Now, if that doesn't get you moving, nothing will. You see, I'm quite comfortable, okay? But if I was in exactly the same position today, mentally, physically, financially, as I am in 6 months' time, where's the growth? I want to experience different things. I want to have new conversations. I want to listen to different problems. I want to answer different problems. I want to grow. Life is for living, not for watching. There's no freaking side paths here. I want to be able to grow, and my fear is the stagnation of standing still. That's what should terrify you. If you're happy with your life, don't listen to this show. Bugger off, read a book, knit a sweater or something. But if you're aggravated with where you are, then keep that aggravation and be petrified of you being in the same place today as you are in a year's time.
Yeah. I mean, great takeaways, right? First off, Alex Charfin, if you guys haven't heard of Alex, he's in the Hill Country here, not too far from me. He's a great guy, all about organizations and systems and just brilliant mind, right? And I think, you make a really great point there that in 5 years from now, 5 years will have passed no matter what. So you can either stay and not change in those 5 years and get nothing accomplished, or try to do something in those 5 years, right? Try to come up with that goal and find that goal and fight for that goal or whatever it may be, right? But there's no sense in standing still, because what's the hell, what's the use in that in those 5 years? You did nothing, So
That's
would you like to...
That's one of the things that bothered me about COVID. We had a shift for 2 to 3 years, let's say 2.5 years, okay? But we had a shift, a cultural, life-changing shift that we have never had ever in the evolution of man. And people wasted it. And I've yet to find anyone that will disagree, but when you die and you're sitting there and it's your last couple of breaths, you're not going to have St. Peter or whoever come down and go, whoa, time out. Do you remember those 2 years that we lost during COVID? Here you are. We can start the clock again. You got those 2 years back. Go back and play the game. They're gone. What you did with them is your fault. Now, here's a fact. Check it out. Google it. BBC, and I'm not picking on them because they're British, but the BBC did a research and discovered that during the worst 2 years of mankind's life, which is what a lot of people is calling COVID, there were over 5 million first-time millionaires registered. In the worst time in our history, 5 million people went, screw that, this is brilliant. Yeah. I can use this. In the worst period, they saw opportunity where other people saw what they could binge watch.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. So let's lean into that a little bit, right? Like, how can entrepreneurs who maybe, are just starting a business that may not even exist yet, right? I have a lot of physical therapists who just think I can clock in and clock out and that's my job. It's like, no, if you want to be a physical therapist to circus performers, you can do that. It doesn't exist yet, but you can create that, right? If you want to be the physical therapist to, say, NASA astronauts, yeah, sure, you can do that. That, it's not really a thing, but you can become an expert in it. You can do what you want, right? But how do they apply this stuff that you're talking about to really start, grow, and kind of scale a business when there is an opportunity like COVID?
See it and it will come. It's a case of, well, I'll put it even better. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to you. Listen to Google.
Yeah.
Google actually, and Singularity University, Peter Diamandis, they employ, and there is a job position, and I think there's a job position in Meta as well that is the same, but I know it's in Google, futurists. These are people that are solving problems to issues that haven't even yet occurred. You see, bearing in mind, have you ever heard of a guy called Ray Kurzweil?
I don't think I have.
Right, Ray Kurzweil, a lot of people haven't heard of him. But have you heard of a thing called Siri?
Yeah.
Right. So Ray Kurzweil thought that by recognizing the voice, he can actually build a platform that could interact with you as a human being. He built that, and I think it's something like about 18 years ago, before there was a platform it could be hosted on. Okay? And then, of course, Apple came across and it bought out Siri, and now you have a Siri, and now you have Alexa. But he saw what was necessary before he looked at the fundamentals to having it. I'm going to do this. Now all I've got to do is work out how that's going to happen. You've got to be able to see yourself in that position. If you can't see yourself in that position, you can't own that position. But people are disrupting industries on a daily basis. Uber's disrupted taxis. Facebook's is disrupted the way we communicate. AI's disrupting the way we write things. So there's all these things that are disrupting. Are you being disrupted or are you disrupting? And it all starts with, okay, what is the problem that I feel that my talent, my unicorn, my focus can solve? Oh, it doesn't exist yet. That's just a technicality. You got to see it first. I dare you to be a dreamer. I always, and if we pick on those, if you want to see dreamers, look at your 5-year-old. Okay. Everyone, well, most people have got kids. All right. If you haven't got kids, borrow someone else's. Not for too long. That's called kidnapping. But you got a 5-year-old kid and it sticks a pillowcase around its neck, starts running around the room in its underpants, and you go, what are you doing? And they go, I'm a superhero. I'm flying off to the sun. And what do? We go, yes, you are. That's right there, Tommy, Julie. You're a superhero. Now, what happens when that 15-year-old starts doing the same thing? We go, grow up, know your age, play your part, stick to all of those kind of cliches. We kill that desire and that mindset of playing. Well, if we look at all of the most powerful, impactful people in the planet, they never grew up. My wife calls me a 55-year-old, 5-year-old. You've got to have that gamification. You've got to have that playful curiosity. Now, a lot of people read business books, but I urge people to read fantasy, crime, detective novels, Dan Brown's, dragon tattoos. Get your spark going. Get your creativity going. That's what we need. Facts are just basically what happened. Creativity is creating what will become fact.
Yeah, I love it. That really sums things up very nicely, I think. As somebody, again, who, recently diagnosed with ADHD and constantly has that brain going, that entrepreneurial mind, English major to physical therapist to teacher, like just non-traditional pathways, and I think it's helped my creativity more than anything. It's allowed me to just think way outside the box of your typical, healthcare clinician, clock in, clock out, 9 to 5. So, Steve, I can't thank you enough, man, for your time and for coming on here to just kind of educate us a lot about goals and the big vision and, the new book. Like I said, Go for Stupid, The Art of Achieving Ridiculous Goals. We'll have the links to all his books in the show notes, the podcast in there as well. Where can people reach out to you if they want to, learn more about you and see what you're up to these days?
I'm very easy to find. In fact, we joke that it's like digital herpes. Once you got me, you can't get rid of me. I'm at Steve D. Sims. Steve D for dashing, 1M in Sims. I'm at stevedsims.com or Steve D. Sims anywhere that you consume your media. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever. Steve D. Sims, you'll see this fella.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve. Absolute pleasure. Keep crushing it, man.
Thanks, pal.